The royal convoy moved through the eastern territories like a shadow of power. 6 black carriages adorned with the golden wolf insignia of the crown rolled across dirt roads that hadn't seen royalty in decades. Inside the lead carriage, Alpha King Jerry sat rigid, his jaw tight as his fiancée, Nancy, chattered endlessly about wedding preparations. "The Northern Alphas have confirmed attendance, darling. Your mother says we should serve venison, but I think swan would be more elegant, don't you? Jerry, are you even listening?" Jerry's storm gray eyes remained fixed on the window. "Swan is fine," Nancy huffed, adjusting her emerald gown. She was beautiful in the calculated way of high-born she-wolves, perfectly coiffed blonde hair, flawless porcelain skin, and a smile that never quite reached her eyes. Their engagement was political, a merger of the 2 most powerful packs in the realm. Love had nothing to do with it. "We'll be stopping in Ashford soon," his beta, Marcus, called from outside the carriage. "The horses need rest, and the villagers have prepared a welcome ceremony." Ashford. Jerry's chest tightened. The name stirred something deep and forgotten. He hadn't thought about this region in 3 years. Not since. "How quaint," Nancy sneered, peering out at the modest village coming into view. "Do we really have to stop in this peasant hovel?" "It's protocol," Jerry said flatly. "The eastern villages pledge their loyalty to the crown. We honor that." As the carriages rolled to a stop in the village square, the cobblestone streets filled with curious onlookers. Merchants abandoned their stalls. Children climbed onto their fathers' shoulders. The air buzzed with excitement and fear. The Alpha King rarely visited the borderlands. Jerry stepped out first, his commanding presence immediately silencing the crowd. He stood 6'4", broad-shouldered, with dark hair and the kind of face that could inspire armies or end rebellions with a single look. His alpha aura radiated like heat from a forge. Nancy took his arm possessively, her chin lifted in superiority. "Smile, darling. Let them see their future queen." But Jerry wasn't smiling. His wolf stirred restlessly inside him, pacing, alert. Something was wrong. Or rather, something was close. Something he'd spent 3 years trying to forget. The village elder approached, bowing so low his beard touched the ground. "Your Majesty, we are honored by your way." Jerry didn't hear the rest. His entire world collapsed into a single point across the square. There, emerging from the apothecary with a woven basket on her hip, was a woman in a faded blue dress and worn shawl. Her pale blonde hair was tucked beneath a simple scarf, and her face gods, that face was thinner than he remembered, sharper with hardship, but unmistakably hers. Zaram. His wolf exploded inside him, clawing at his chest, howling her name. Every nerve in Jerry's body ignited. The bond he thought had been severed 3 years ago roared back to life with such violence that he staggered. "Jerry?" Nancy's voice was distant, irritated. "What's wrong with you?" But Jerry couldn't breathe, couldn't think, because Zaram wasn't alone. Clutching her skirt with sticky fingers was a little girl, maybe 2 years old, with dark curls and eyes, the exact shade of stormy gray that Jerry saw in the mirror every morning. And holding Zaram's other hand was a boy, same age, same dark hair, same stubborn chin that ran in the Blackstone royal line for generations. Twins. His twins. The realization hit Jerry like a silver bullet to the chest. The dates aligned perfectly. 3 years ago, Zaram had disappeared without a word, without a trace. He'd searched for months, nearly went mad with rage and grief. And all this time, she'd been here, in this forgotten village, raising his children. Children he never knew existed. Zaram's eyes lifted, and the moment she saw him, all color drained from her face. The basket slipped from her grip, apples rolling across the cobblestones. Her lips parted in silent horror. "Mama?" the little boy asked, tugging her hand. "Why did you drop the apples?" Jerry started walking. He didn't remember commanding his legs to move, but suddenly he was crossing the square. His focus locked on Zaram like a predator closing in on prey. The crowd parted instinctively, sensing the raw power rolling off their king. "Jerry, what are you doing?" Nancy's shrill voice cut through the air. "Who is that woman?" Zaram grabbed both children, pulling them close. For a moment, Jerry thought she might run, but where could she go? He was the Alpha King. He owned every inch of this territory, every breath of air, every shadow. They stood 3 feet apart. 3 years of silence stretched between them like a chasm. Zaram, Jerry breathed. His voice cracked on her name. She lifted her chin, and despite the fear in her honey brown eyes, there was defiance there too. Your Majesty, the formal address felt like a slap. He wanted to roar, to demand answers, to shake her until she explained how she could leave him, how she could hide his children, how she could look at him now with such cold distance. But the little girl chose that moment to speak. Mama, that man is really, really tall. Jerry's gaze dropped to the twins. Up close, there was no denying it. They had Zaram's delicate features, her honey-colored skin, but everything else, the eyes, the bone structure, the presence, was pure Blackstone. These children carried alpha blood, royal blood. What are their names? Jerry asked, his voice rough. Zaram's arms tightened around the twins. That's none of your concern. None of my Jerry's wolf snarled, pushing forward. His eyes flashed gold, the mark of his beast rising. You left. You vanished in the middle of the night 3 years ago without a word, and now I find you've been raising my children in secret, and you think this is none of my concern? The crowd gasped. Nancy's face contorted with rage. His children? Jerry, what is this woman talking about? But Jerry barely registered his fiancée's presence. His entire existence had narrowed to Zaram and the twins. How long did you know? I found out the night before I left, Zaram said quietly. I took the pregnancy test after you told me the council's decision. Jerry's stomach dropped. The council. Gods. The council. He remembered that night, the one that had destroyed everything. His advisors had cornered him after the mating ceremony, their faces grave. The human cannot be your queen, your majesty. The pack will never accept her. She weakens the bloodline. You must reject the bond, or the realm will fall into chaos. He'd been young then, newly crowned after his father's death, desperate to prove himself worthy. And he'd made the worst mistake of his life. I didn't reject you, Jerry said now, desperation creeping into his voice. I asked for time. I was trying to find a way. You stood before your council and said a human mate was a liability. Zaram interrupted, her voice steady despite the tears gathering in her eyes. You said the realm needed a strong queen, and I could never be that. I heard it all, Jerry. I was standing outside the throne room. The breath left Jerry's lungs. Zaram, you chose your crown. I chose our children. She bent down, scooping up the little girl. Say goodbye to the nice king, Maya. We need to get home. Maya. The name pierced his heart. And the boy, the one glaring at Jerry with suspicious, intelligent eyes, had to be his son. What's his name? Jerry demanded. Zaram hesitated. Ethan. Ethan. Maya. His children. His blood. And he'd missed everything. Their first words, their first steps. 3 years of their lives stolen because of his cowardice. You're not walking away again, Jerry growled. His alpha command rolled out instinctively, forcing Zaram to freeze mid-step. We need to talk. Now. Remove your command from me, Zaram hissed, her body trembling with the effort to resist. Even as a human, she'd always been able to fight his influence more than any wolf. It was one of the things that had drawn him to her impossible strength. Jerry, Nancy stormed forward, her face twisted with fury. Explain yourself this instant. Are you claiming these bastard children are yours? The word bastard made Jerry's wolf snap. He whirled on Nancy, his alpha aura exploding outward with such force that she stumbled backward, along with half the crowd. Watch your tongue. Nancy's eyes widened in shock and fear. In all their months of engagement, Jerry had never raised his voice to her, never shown her this side of his nature. They're my children, Jerry said, his voice deadly calm, which makes them heirs to the Blackstone throne. And if you ever insult them again, engagement or not, I will end you. The square fell into horrified silence. The implications were catastrophic. The Alpha King had secret heirs. His mate, his true mate, was a human he'd abandoned 3 years ago. And his political engagement, the alliance that was supposed to unite the realm, was crumbling in real time. Zaram used the distraction to break free of his command. She turned and ran, the twins clutched in her arms, disappearing down a narrow alley between shops. Zaram! Jerry started after her, but Marcus blocked his path. Your Majesty, think. You're in the middle of a village square with 200 witnesses. Whatever you do next will be reported to every alpha in the realm by nightfall. Jerry's hands clenched into fists. His beta was right, but God's every instinct screamed at him to chase her, to throw her over his shoulder and drag her back to the palace where she belonged. Find out where she lives, Jerry ordered. I want her address, her routine, everything. And postguards around the village perimeter. No one gets in or out without my knowledge. Jerry, have you lost your mind? Nancy shrieked. She'd recovered from her shock and now her true nature showed petty, vicious, and desperate. I am your fiancée, the daughter of the Northern Alpha. You cannot humiliate me like this over some peasant whore and her bastards. Jerry moved so fast Nancy didn't have time to scream. One moment he was 5 feet away. The next, his hand was wrapped around her throat, lifting her onto her toes. His eyes burned pure gold. I told you to watch your tongue, he whispered. That woman is my mate. The only reason you're still breathing is because killing the Northern Alpha's daughter would start a war. But test me again, Nancy. I'm looking for a reason. He released her, and she collapsed, gasping. The crowd looked away, terrified. The servants wouldn't meet his eyes. Jerry straightened his jacket, forcing his wolf back down. The engagement is over. Marcus, draft a formal letter to Alpha Cornelius. Tell him his daughter has been released from the betrothal contract due to irreconcilable differences. Offer him trade concessions to smooth relations. Your Majesty, Marcus said carefully, the council won't accept this. You need a queen. The law can wait. Jerry turned toward the alley where Zaram had disappeared, his heart pounding. I have more important matters to attend to. I'm gonna find the mother of my children and get some God's damned answers. And if she runs again, Marcus asked. Jerry's smile was sharp and predatory. Then I'll chase her, for as long as it takes. She ran once, I won't make the mistake of letting her go twice. Zaram didn't stop running until she reached the old mill on the edge of the village. Her lungs burned, and the twins were heavy in her arms, but fear gave her strength. Maya was crying, confused by the sudden flight. Ethan remained silent, his small face set in a scowl that looked far too much like his father's. Mama, you're squeezing too tight, Maya whimpered. I'm sorry, baby. Zaram loosened her grip, setting them down once they were safely inside the mill's shadowed interior. Her hands shook as she bolted the door. I'm so sorry. This was her home, or what passed for one. The mill had been abandoned for years before Zaram claimed it. She'd repaired the holes in the roof, scrubbed the floors, and turned the main room into a modest living space. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. Safe, hidden, until today. Why was that man angry? Ethan asked, his gray eyes, Jerry's eyes, watching her with unnerving perception. At 2 years old, he was already too clever, too observant. Sometimes Zaram looked at him and saw the alpha he would one day become, and it terrified her. He wasn't angry at you, sweetheart. Zaram knelt, smoothing his dark hair. He was just surprised. Who is he? The question she dreaded for 3 years. Zaram had prepared speeches, practiced gentle explanations, but now that the moment was here, the words wouldn't come. He's someone Mama used to know, she said finally, before you were born. Is he our daddy? Maya asked, tilting her head. Zaram's heart shattered. What makes you ask that? He has the same eyes as Ethan, Maya said simply, and he looked at us like Uncle Thomas looks at Aunt Clara's baby, all soft and sad. Children saw too much. Zaram pulled them both into a fierce embrace. Listen to me, both of you. We might need to leave the village for a while, just for a little adventure. Would you like that? But I like it here, Ethan protested. And you promised we could go to the Harvest Festival next week. Zaram closed her eyes. She'd spent 3 years building this life, creating normalcy for her children in a world that would never accept them. Jerry's children, the Alpha King's heirs. If the wrong people found out, if Prince Bara's spies learned of their existence, the twins would be pawns in a deadly Game of Thrones. Or worse, they'd be eliminated. A knock on the door made Zaram jump. Miss Zaram? It's Elder Thomas. Please, open the door. Thomas, the village elder who'd given her shelter when she'd arrived 3 years ago, pregnant and desperate. She trusted him more than anyone in Ashford. Zaram opened the door a crack. Thomas stood there, his weathered face grave. You need to leave. Tonight. I know. No, you don't understand. Thomas glanced over his shoulder nervously. The king has posted guards at every road out of the village. He's declared that no one enters or leaves without his permission. He's looking for you, Zaram. And when the Alpha King decides to find someone, they don't stay hidden for long. Zaram's blood ran cold. He can't do that. This is neutral territory. He's the king. He can do whatever he wants. Thomas pressed a small pouch into her hands. There's 50 gold marks in here. I also packed supplies, dried meat, bread, blankets. There's a smuggler's route through the northern woods that the guards don't know about. If you leave in the next hour, you might make it to the free cities by dawn. Thomas, I can't take your money. Those children are in danger, Thomas said firmly. I don't know what history you have with the king, but I saw his face in the square. He's not going to let this go. And that fiancée of his, Nancy, she looked at you like she wanted your head on a spike. Zaram had seen that look too. Nancy was a she-wolf of noble blood, raised to believe the throne was her birthright. Finding out her fiancé had children with a human would drive her to madness. Or worse, to murder. There's something else, Thomas added quietly. Prince Bara's men were spotted 2 villages over this morning. If word reaches him that the king's true heirs are here, unprotected. He didn't need to finish. Everyone in the realm knew about Prince Bara, Jerry's cousin, the man who'd spent years trying to usurp the throne. Legitimate heirs would threaten his claim. He'd kill the twins without hesitation. An hour, Zaram whispered. We'll be ready. Thomas left, and Zaram immediately started packing. She worked with practiced efficiency, grabbing only essentials: clothes, food, the twins' favorite toys. Her emergency pack had been ready for 3 years, always tucked beneath her bed. She'd always known this day might come. Mama, what's happening? Maya asked, clutching her stuffed rabbit. We're going on that adventure, remember? Zaram forced brightness into her voice. We're going to see new places, meet new people. I don't want to go, Ethan said stubbornly. I want to stay here. Ethan, that man is our daddy, isn't he? The king. That's why we're running. Zaram froze, the truth caught in her throat. Ethan stared at her with those knowing gray eyes, and she realized she couldn't lie to him. Not about this. Yes, she said quietly. He's your father. Then why are we running from him? Ethan's small face twisted with confusion. Don't daddies want their children? The question broke Zaram's heart. It's complicated, baby. Your father is a very important man, and there are people who would hurt you just to hurt him. Mama needs to keep you safe. Maybe he could keep us safe, Ethan argued. He's the king. Kings are strong. Not strong enough, Zaram whispered. She remembered Jerry's face that night 3 years ago, standing before his council, agreeing that a human mate was a weakness. He'd chosen politics over her. He'd choose the throne over the twins too, if it came down to it. She wouldn't give him that chance. Zaram finished packing and hoisted the bag onto her shoulder. Come on, we need to go before. The door exploded inward. Zaram screamed, pushing the twins behind her. But it wasn't guards who stormed through the entrance. It was Jerry himself, flanked by Marcus and 2 royal sentries. The Alpha King filled the small space with his presence, his aura pressing down like a physical weight. His eyes blazed gold as he took in the packed bags, the twins cowering behind Zaram, the obvious signs of flight. Going somewhere? Jerry's voice was dangerously soft. Zaram lifted her chin. You have no right to break into my home. Your home? Jerry stepped closer, and Zaram's body betrayed her, responding to the mate bond that should have been severed but somehow still burned. This isn't a home, Zaram. It's a hiding place. And you're trying to run again. With my children. They're my children, Zaram shot back. I carried them, I birthed them, I've raised them alone for 3 years while you played king with your perfect noble fiancé. Jerry flinched. You never told me. How could I be there when you never gave me the chance? You had your chance. Zaram's voice cracked. That night, when your council told you to reject the bond, you had a choice. You chose the crown. I chose time, Jerry roared, his wolf rising. I asked for time to figure out how to protect you, how to make the pack accept a human queen. By calling me a liability, by agreeing I was too weak, I said what they needed to hear to get them off my back. Jerry's hands fisted at his sides. I was going to announce our mating bond publicly at the next full moon. Council be damned. But you left before I could tell you. You ran Zaram. You gave up on us. The accusation hung in the air. Zaram's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. I heard what I heard, and I knew that as long as I stayed, I'd be a target. Your enemies would use me against you. They'd hurt me to hurt you. And when I found out I was pregnant, she looked at the twins, her voice dropping to a whisper. I knew they'd be in even more danger, so I left. I disappeared, and I've spent 3 years keeping them safe. Jerry's expression softened, pain flickering across his face. You should have told me. Would it have changed anything? The question sat between them, unanswerable. Jerry's gaze drifted to the twins, who watched the confrontation with wide eyes. Maya clung to Ethan, and Ethan stood protectively in front of his sister, his small body tense, like he was ready to fight a king. They have my eyes, Jerry said quietly. They have everything of yours, Zaram replied, especially the stubbornness. A ghost of a smile crossed Jerry's face, but it faded quickly. You can't run this time. I won't let you. You can't stop me. I'm the Alpha King. I can stop anyone. Jerry took another step closer. But I don't want to force you, Zaram. I want you to choose to stay. Choose to let me know my children. Choose to give us another chance. There is no us, Zaram said, even as her traitorous heart screamed otherwise. The mate bond pulled at her, begging her to close the distance, to let him wrap her in his arms the way he used to. You have a fiancé, a kingdom, a life that doesn't include us. I broke the engagement, Jerry said. Nancy is no longer my concern, and my kingdom, my life means nothing if you're not in it. Zaram's breath caught. You broke the engagement? In front of 200 witnesses. Jerry's eyes locked on hers. I told the entire village that you're my mate and that these children are heirs to the Blackstone throne. There's no taking that back now. The news will spread through the realm by morning. Horror washed over Zaram. You fool. Do you know what you've done? I told the truth. You painted a target on their backs. Zaram gestured to the twins. Prince Bara will hear about this. Every enemy you've ever made will know about Maya and Ethan now. They're not safe anymore because of you. Jerry's face hardened. They were never safe. Hiding in a forgotten village, pretending to be normal children, that's not safety, Zaram. That's delusion. Eventually, someone would have noticed the alpha bloodline in them. Their eyes, their presence, it's already showing. In a few years, they'll start shifting. What then? Zaram had thought about that. Nightmares about it, actually. Ethan had already shown signs enhanced strength, sharper senses. Maya had once predicted a storm 2 days before it hit. The wolf blood was waking up inside them. I would have figured it out, Zaram said weakly. You can't protect them alone. Jerry's voice softened. But I can. Come back to the palace with me. Let me give them the life they deserve, the protection they need. As what? Bastard children hidden in the servants' quarters? As my heirs, my legitimate children? Jerry's gaze burned with intensity. I'll make you my queen. Zaram, the ceremony we should have had 3 years ago. We'll complete the mating bond properly before the entire kingdom. And anyone who objects can challenge me directly. Zaram's heart hammered. You can't. The council serves me, not the other way around. I was weak before, young, afraid of losing my father's legacy. But I've learned something in the last 3 years. Jerry stepped close enough that Zaram could feel the heat of his body. A king without his mate is no king at all. Just a man sitting on a throne, slowly dying inside. His words pierced through every defense Zaram had built. She wanted to believe him. Gods, she wanted to believe so badly. It hurt. But fear had become her closest companion, and trust felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. What about the danger? She whispered. I'll eliminate it. Jerry's voice turned cold, lethal. Prince Bara has been a thorn in my side for too long. If he makes a move against you or the children, I'll crush him. Permanently. You'd start a civil war. If that's what it takes to protect my family? Yes. Jerry reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he cupped her face in his hands. I failed you once, Zaram. I let politics and fear rule my decisions, but I won't make that mistake again. Come home, please. Zaram's walls crumbled. 3 years of loneliness, of shouldering everything alone, of watching her children ask about their father, it all came crashing down. She was so tired. Tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of pretending she didn't miss the man who'd been her entire world. What if you change your mind again? She asked, her voice small. I won't. What if the council? They'll accept it or find new positions. What if... Jerry silenced her with a kiss. It was gentle, reverent. Nothing like the passionate claiming kisses they'd shared when they were young and the world seemed full of possibility. This kiss tasted of regret and hope and desperate promises. When he pulled back, Zaram's eyes were wet with tears. I'm scared. I know. Jerry pressed his forehead to hers. But you're not alone anymore. You never should have been. A small voice interrupted them. Are you our daddy now? Jerry looked down to find Maya standing beside them, her gray eyes curious. Ethan remained further back, suspicious but listening. Jerry knelt to Maya's level. Yes, I'm your daddy, and I'm sorry I didn't know about you sooner, but I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Do you promise? Maya asked seriously. I promise. Jerry extended his hand, and after a moment Maya took it. Her small fingers disappeared in his large palm. Jerry looked to Ethan next. What about you, son? Do you want to come meet your grandmother? She's been lonely in the big palace. Ethan's jaw set stubbornly. You made Mama cry 3 years ago. I don't know how, but I can feel it. She's been sad ever since. Jerry's throat tightened. Even as a toddler, Ethan had the instincts of an alpha. You're right. I did make her cry. I made the worst mistake of my life, and I'm going to spend the rest of my days making it up to her, and to you both. Ethan considered this. Finally, he nodded once. Okay, but if you make Mama cry again, I'll bite you. Despite everything, Jerry laughed. Fair enough. I'd expect nothing less from my son. Zaram watched the exchange, her heart aching. This was what she dreamed of during the long, lonely nights. Her family, together, whole. But dreams had a way of turning into nightmares in the real world. Jerry, she said quietly, if we do this, if we go back with you, there's no guarantee it will work. The kingdom might reject us. The other alphas might rebel. And Bara will be dealt with, Jerry said firmly. He stood, still holding Maya's hand, and offered his other hand to Zaram. I'm not promising it will be easy, but I'm promising I'll fight for you, for us, every single day. Zaram looked at his outstretched hand. 3 years ago, she'd walked away from this man because she thought she wasn't enough, because she believed his kingdom needed someone stronger, someone born to power, someone who wouldn't break under the weight of a crown. But maybe strength wasn't about being unbreakable. Maybe it was about breaking, then putting yourself back together, then choosing to risk it all over again. Zaram took Jerry's hand. Okay, she whispered, we'll go home, but Jerry, if you hurt us, I won't. His grip tightened on her hand, solid and warm. Never again. Marcus cleared his throat from the doorway. Your Majesty, we should leave soon. The longer we wait, the more time Prince Bara's informants have to mobilize. Jerry nodded. He turned to Zaram. Pack what you need. We're taking the northern route back to the capital. It's longer but more secure. As Zaram gathered the last of their belongings, she felt the weight of the decision settling over her. There was no going back now. By morning, the entire realm would know that the Alpha King had reclaimed his human mate and acknowledged his secret heirs. The consequences would be catastrophic. But as she watched Jerry carefully lift Ethan onto his shoulders and saw the wonder in her son's eyes, as he experienced his father's strength for the first time, Zaram thought maybe, just maybe, some things were worth the risk, even if it meant war was coming. The royal convoy moved through the night like a river of shadows. Jerry had commandeered 3 additional carriages from the village, loading them with supplies and guards. Zaram and the twins rode in the king's personal carriage, surrounded by luxury that felt alien after 3 years in the mill. Maya had fallen asleep immediately, curled against Zaram's side. But Ethan remained awake, his gray eyes fixed on Jerry with unnerving intensity. "You're staring," Jerry said, amusement in his voice. "You're big," Ethan replied matter-of-factly. "You'll be big too one day. Bigger than me, probably. Alpha blood runs strong in the Blackstone line." "What's an alpha?" Jerry glanced at Zaram, seeking permission. She nodded slowly. The twins would need to learn their heritage eventually. "An alpha is the leader of a pack," Jerry explained. "Wolves like me, we live in groups, families, and the strongest wolf leads the pack, keeps them safe, makes the hard decisions. That's what I do for the whole kingdom." "But you're not a wolf right now," Ethan pointed out. "You look like a person." "I can be both. Most of the time, I'm in this form, but when I need to, I can shift into my wolf." Jerry's eyes flashed gold briefly. "You'll be able to do it too when you're older." Ethan's eyes widened. "Really? Really? It's part of who you are, who we are. What about Mama? Can she turn into a wolf?" Jerry's expression softened as he looked at Zaram. "No, your mother is human, which makes you two very special. You have the strength of wolves and the heart of humanity. That's a rare gift." Zaram listened to the exchange, marveling at how naturally Jerry fell into fatherhood. She'd spent 3 years imagining this moment, but the reality was different. Gentler, Jerry spoke to Ethan not as a king addressing a subject, but as a father teaching his son. There was patience in his voice, pride, and something that looked dangerously close to love. "Will the other wolves like us?" Ethan asked, and Zaram's heart clenched at the vulnerability in his voice. Jerry's jaw tightened. "Some will, some won't, but that doesn't matter because I like you, and I'm the king. What I say goes." "That seems lonely," Ethan observed, "being in charge all the time." Jerry blinked, surprised by the insight. "Sometimes it is. You should get a friend. I have Marcus. He's my beta, my second in command." "No, a real friend. Someone who likes you even when you're not being a king." Ethan yawned, finally succumbing to exhaustion. "Mama says everyone needs a friend who tells them when they're being stupid." Zaram choked on a laugh. "Ethan!" "What? You said that about Elder Thomas." Jerry's shoulders shook with silent laughter. "Your son has a point. Maybe I do need someone to tell me when I'm being stupid." His gaze met Zaram's over Ethan's dark head. "I used to have someone like that." The weight of his words settled between them. Zaram had been that person once, the only one brave enough to challenge Jerry, to call him out when his pride got in the way of reason. They'd balanced each other perfectly, wolf and human, power and compassion, until the council drove a wedge between them. "Tell me about them," Zaram said quietly, redirecting the conversation before it got too heavy. "The council, the ones who convinced you I was a liability." Jerry's expression darkened. "There are 12 council members. Most are power-hungry relics who think tradition is more important than progress. The worst is Lord Davison. He's been trying to control the throne since my father's time. Will he oppose us? Absolutely. But he can't do anything without majority support, and I've spent 3 years cultivating loyalty among the younger members. Davison is losing his grip." Jerry's smile turned sharp. "By the time he realizes what's happening, it'll be too late." "And Prince Bara?" The temperature in the carriage seemed to drop. Jerry's eyes flashed dangerously. "Bara is a different problem. He's my cousin, third in line for the throne. He's been quietly building alliances, waiting for me to show weakness. These children," he looked at the sleeping twins, "they eliminate his claim entirely. If I have legitimate heirs, he'll never wear the crown. So he'll kill them," Zaram said flatly. "He'll try." Jerry's voice was ice. "But he'll have to go through me first, and I've never lost a fight." Zaram wanted to believe him, but she'd seen enough of the world to know that confidence wasn't armor. "Jerry, I need you to promise me something. Anything. If it comes down to a choice between the throne and our children, you choose them. Every time. No hesitation." Jerry reached across the carriage and took her hand. "Zaram, the throne is just a chair. Those children are my legacy, my future. There is no choice. It's always them." The sincerity in his voice made Zaram's chest ache. She wanted to trust him completely. to let go of the fear that had become her constant companion. But 3 years of survival had taught her that trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Still, she squeezed his hand back. Okay. They rode in silence for a while. The only sounds, the rhythmic thunder of hooves and the creak of carriage wheels. Outside, the landscape shifted from rolling farmland to dense forest. The northern route was slower, but harder to ambush. The trees provided cover for Jerry's guards to patrol ahead. Tell me about them, Jerry said suddenly. The twins. What are they like? Zaram smiled despite her exhaustion. Maya is fearless. She climbs everything, trees, furniture. Once she tried to climb the mill wheel while it was turning. She's curious about everyone and everything. Makes friends with every stray animal in the village. She gets that from you, Jerry murmured. And Ethan is. Zaram paused, choosing her words carefully. He's protective. He watches everything. Notices details no 2-year-old should notice. He has nightmares sometimes, and I don't know what they're about. But he wakes up calling for someone named the Gray Wolf. Jerry stiffened. The Gray Wolf? Does that mean something to you? It's what my people call me, the Gray Wolf of Blackstone. I've never shifted in front of Ethan. He's never seen me. But somehow he knows. Jerry's voice was filled with wonder. The bond. Even separated by years and distance, he can feel me. Is that normal? No. It means he's going to be powerful. Very powerful. Jerry looked at his sleeping son with something like awe. And Maya? Any signs? She predicted a storm once, and animals follow her. Foxes, birds, even a wolf cub wandered into the village and went straight to her. Elder Thomas said it was coincidence, but you knew better. Jerry's smile was proud. She has the gift of communion. It's rare, even among wolves. She'll be able to communicate with animals, maybe even command them when she's older. Zaram's mind reeled. She'd spent 3 years trying to keep the twins' abilities hidden, attributing them to imagination or coincidence. Hearing Jerry name them, claim them as gifts rather than curses, made everything feel more real and more dangerous. Jerry, what if they can't control it? What if someone sees, then we teach them, together? Jerry's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. You've done an incredible job raising them alone, Zaram, but you don't have to do it alone anymore. Before Zaram could respond, the carriage lurched violently. Maya woke with a cry, and Ethan tumbled forward. Jerry caught him instantly, his reflexes inhumanly fast. What was that? Zaram demanded. Marcus's voice shouted from outside. Ambush! Protect the king! Jerry's entire demeanor changed. The gentle father disappeared, replaced by the warrior king. His eyes blazed gold, his canines extending. Stay inside. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone but me or Marcus. Jerry. But he was already moving, throwing open the carriage door and leaping into the chaos beyond. Through the window, Zaram caught glimpses of the battle wolves, massive and savage, tearing into Jerry's guards. The attackers wore no colors, no insignia, but their coordination spoke of military training. This wasn't random. This was planned. Mama, I'm scared, Maya whimpered, clutching her rabbit. Zaram pulled both twins close, her heart hammering. She could hear Jerry's roar, a sound that was more animal than man, and the screams of their attackers. The carriage rocked as bodies slammed against it. Then, silence. It stretched for agonizing seconds. Zaram held her breath, straining to hear. Was Jerry alive? Had they been overrun? Should she run? A knock on the door made her jump. Zaram, it's me. Open up. Jerry's voice. But Zaram had heard stories of shifters who could mimic voices. What was Ethan's first word? She called out. A pause. Then, you never told me. But Maya's was more. And she said it while stealing your breakfast porridge. Only Jerry could know that she'd shared that memory earlier. Zaram unlocked the door with shaking hands. Jerry stood outside, covered in blood. His clothes were shredded, his chest heaving, but he was alive, and his eyes had returned to their normal gray. Are you hurt? Zaram asked frantically, reaching for him. None of it's mine. Jerry stepped into the carriage, his gaze immediately finding the twins. Are they okay? Scared, but fine. Zaram looked past him at the carnage. Bodies littered the road, wolves and men, all dead. Jerry's remaining guards were checking the perimeter. Who were they? Mercenaries, hired by someone with deep pockets and a desire to see me dead. Jerry's jaw clenched. This was a test. They wanted to see how well protected we are, what our weaknesses are. Bara? Most likely, but I can't prove it yet. Jerry looked at Marcus, who'd appeared at the carriage door. Double the guard. No more stops until we reach the capital. And send a raven ahead. I want the palace on full lockdown by the time we arrive. Yes, Your Majesty. Marcus hesitated. Sire, we lost 4 men. Jerry's expression flickered with grief. Their families will be compensated. Full pensions, and their children will be given positions in the royal guard when they come of age. Make sure everyone knows those who die protecting the crown will never be forgotten. Marcus nodded and left. Jerry turned back to Zoram and the twins, and the hard lines of the king's face softened. I'm sorry you had to see this, he said quietly. Is this what our life will be like now, Zoram asked, constantly under attack? Until I eliminate the threats, yes. Jerry knelt in front of Ethan, who'd been watching the entire exchange with wide eyes. I know this is scary, but I promise you, no one will ever hurt you or your sister or your mother. Not while I'm alive. You're strong, Ethan said, touching Jerry's bloody shirt with small tentative fingers, like the gray wolf in my dreams. Jerry's breath caught. I'll teach you to be strong too, both of you. You'll never have to be afraid. But Zoram was afraid. Terrified, actually, because she realized that coming back with Jerry meant entering a world of violence and political machinations that her children were far too young to navigate. She'd kept them safe in the mill, anonymous and insignificant. Now they were the most important children in the kingdom. And the most vulnerable, the Palace of Blackstone loomed against the dawn sky like a monument to power. Gray stone walls rose 50 feet high, topped with towers that seemed to pierce the clouds. The royal standards, a silver wolf on a black field, snapped in the wind. Guards lined the battlements, and Zoram counted at least 30 visible sentries. This was Jerry's world. A world of stone and steel, of traditions older than memory, of wolves who viewed humans as prey. It's big, Maya breathed, pressing her face against the carriage window. It's a fortress, Jerry corrected gently. Built by my great-great-grandfather after the War of the Pacts. These walls have never been breached. Never? Ethan asked skeptically. Never. Which means you're safe here. This is your home now. The carriage passed through 3 separate gates, each more heavily guarded than the last. By the time they reached the inner courtyard, Zoram's anxiety had reached a fever pitch. Dozens of palace staff lined the entrance, all bowing as Jerry emerged. He offered his hand to Zoram. She took it, stepping down into a world that felt impossibly foreign. The servant's eyes tracked her every movement, and she heard the whispers. That's her? The human? I heard she's a commoner, a seamstress. And those children, are they really his? This is a disaster. The council will never accept it. Jerry's grip tightened on her hand. Ignore them, he murmured. You belong here. A woman swept down the palace steps, and Zoram's first thought was that she must be royalty. She was tall and elegant, with the same dark hair as Jerry and eyes that sparkled with fierce intelligence. She wore a gown of deep purple, and her presence commanded immediate respect. Brother, the woman said, and Zoram realized with a start that this was Jerry's sister. You've caused quite the scandal. Pania, Jerry greeted, and there was genuine warmth in his voice. Let me introduce you to Zoram, my mate. Pania's gaze swept over Zoram, assessing and shrewd. Then she smiled, and it transformed her entire face. The woman who brought my insufferable brother to his knees. I've been dying to meet you. Your Highness, Zoram said, dropping into a clumsy curtsy. None of that. We're family now. Pania stepped closer, lowering her voice. Fair warning, the council is in an uproar. Lord Davison has been ranting about the sanctity of the bloodline for the past 3 hours. And Nancy's father is threatening war. Jerry's expression darkened. Let him threaten. The Northern Alpha knows he can't win a war against Blackstone. Maybe not, but he can make your life very difficult. Pania's gaze shifted to the twins, who stood close to Zoram, overwhelmed by the spectacle. Are these the little ones? Maya and Ethan, Jerry said, and the pride in his voice was unmistakable. My heirs. Pania knelt gracefully, bringing herself to the twins' eye level. Hello, darlings. I'm your Aunt Pania, and I have to say, you both have excellent taste in causing political chaos. Maya giggled. Ethan remained suspicious, but he didn't hide behind Zaram, which was progress. Come, Pania said, rising. Let's get you all settled before the council descends like vultures. Jerry, Mother wants to see you immediately. Jerry grimaced. How angry is she? On a scale of 1 to 10, 15. Pania's smile was wicked. You broke your engagement, acknowledged illegitimate children, and brought a human into the palace, all without consulting her. She's ready to skin you alive. Fantastic, Jerry muttered. He turned to Zaram. Pania will show you to your rooms. I'll deal with my mother and the council, then come find you. Jerry, wait. Zaram caught his arm. What do I do? How do I act? I don't know the protocols. Be yourself, Jerry said firmly. That's all I've ever wanted. That's all you need to be. He pressed a kiss to her forehead, then strode into the palace with Marcus at his heels. Zaram watched him go, feeling like she was being left behind in enemy territory. Don't worry, Pania said kindly. My brother is many things stubborn, proud, occasionally stupid, but he's loyal to his core. If he's claimed you as his mate, nothing will change that. Not the council, not tradition, not even our formidable mother. What's she like, the Queen Mother? Pania's smile turned, knowing, terrifying, but fair. She loved Jerry's father more than life itself. He was human, you know. Zaram's head snapped up. What? My father was human, a scholar from the southern provinces. Mother met him at a summit and fell madly in love. Her pack nearly revolted when she chose him as her mate. Pania started walking, gesturing for Zaram to follow, but she didn't care. She made him king consort, and together they ruled for 30 years. When he died, she mourned him so deeply that she stepped down from the throne and gave it to Jerry. This information recontextualized everything. Jerry's mother had married a human. She'd faced the same prejudice, the same resistance. Then why would she oppose me? Zaram asked. Because she remembers how hard it was, how the pack tore itself apart, how my father was challenged and threatened constantly. She doesn't want Jerry to suffer the same way. Pania paused outside an ornate door. But between you and me, I think she'll come around once she meets the twins. Mother has always been ruthlessly practical. 2 healthy heirs with alpha blood, that's something the council can't argue with. Pania opened the door, revealing a suite of rooms that took Zaram's breath away. The main chamber was larger than the entire mill, with soaring ceilings, tapestries depicting wolf hunts, and furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. 3 additional rooms branched off bedrooms for her and the twins. This is too much, Zaram whispered. This is barely adequate, Pania countered. You're the king's mate. Eventually, you'll have the queen's chambers. But Jerry thought you might want time to adjust before moving into rooms that recently belonged to Nancy. Smart. Zaram didn't think she could sleep in Nancy's bed without feeling like an imposter. A team of servants appeared, carrying the meager bags from the carriage. They looked at the worn clothes and simple toys with barely concealed disdain. We'll have the royal seamstress take your measurements this afternoon, Pania said breezily. You'll need a proper wardrobe, and the children will need tutors, guards, everything. Pania, I can't afford. You're not paying for anything. The crown provides for the royal family. Pania squeezed Zaram's hand. I know this is overwhelming, but you're not alone. I'll help you navigate court politics, teach you the protocols, and most importantly, I'll tell you who to trust. And who not to trust. That's a longer list. Pania's expression turned serious. Lord Davison is your primary enemy. He views humans as inferior and will do everything in his power to discredit you. Then there's Bara, Jerry's cousin. He's charming and clever, but he wants the throne. These children threaten his ambitions. Jerry said he'd handle Bara. Jerry says a lot of things, but Bara is patient. He won't attack directly. He'll work through proxies, spread rumors, create accidents. Pania's gaze hardened. Watch your children constantly. Don't let them out of your sight until Jerry assigns personal guards. The warning sent chills down Zaram's spine. Maya and Ethan were exploring their new bedroom. marveling at the massive beds and the toys left for them. They looked so small in the vast space, so vulnerable. "I should never have come here," Zaram said quietly. "I should have kept running. Running would have only delayed the inevitable. Your children have alpha blood that's not something you can hide forever. They belong here, Zaram, and so do you." Pania moved toward the door. "I'll send some lunch up, and later I'll introduce you to the ladies of the court. Most of them are vipers, but a few are decent. You'll need allies." "Why are you helping me?" Zaram asked. "You don't even know me." Pania's smile was sad. "Because I watched my brother turn into a ghost after you left. For 3 years, he went through the motions of being king, but there was no life in him, no joy. And I thought I'd never see him happy again." She glanced at where Jerry had disappeared. "But the moment he saw you in that village square, he came alive. So yes, I'm helping you. Because you're the only person in this entire kingdom who can make him whole." After Pania left, Zaram sank onto the velvet sofa, her head spinning. Everything was moving too fast. This morning, she'd been a seamstress in a forgotten village. Now she was living in a palace, her children were heirs to a throne, and she was apparently expected to become queen. "Mama, look!" Maya ran in holding a music box. "It plays a song!" The tinkling melody filled the room. Ethan followed, carrying a wooden sword that was clearly meant for training. "Can I keep this?" "Yes, babies, you can keep everything." Zaram pulled them both close, breathing in their familiar scent. "Are you okay? I know this is a lot of change." "It's like a castle in your stories," Maya said. "Are we really going to live here?" "For now. And that man Daddy, he's not going to leave?" The question pierced Zaram's heart. "No, sweetheart. He's not going to leave. This is his home." "Good," Ethan said firmly. "I like him. He's strong, and he protected us from the bad wolves. If only strength were enough." But Zaram had learned that power came in many forms. Claws and teeth, yes, but also whispers and manipulation. And she suspected the real battles wouldn't be fought with weapons. They'd be fought in the shadows of the court, where reputation was currency and scandal was a death sentence. Jerry stood before the council chamber doors, steeling himself. He could hear the raised voices inside Lord Davison's pompous declarations, the younger members arguing back, the chaos that always erupted when tradition collided with change. "Ready?" Marcus asked. "No, but when has that ever stopped me?" Jerry pushed open the doors. The room fell silent. 12 pairs of eyes turned to him, some respectful, some hostile, all wary. The council chamber was designed to intimidate, with its vaulted ceilings and the massive table carved from a single oak tree. Portraits of previous Alpha Kings lined the walls, their painted eyes seeming to judge Jerry's every decision. Lord Davison stood at the far end, his gray beard quivering with rage. "Your Majesty, how gracious of you to finally join us. I was busy escorting my mate and children to safety after they were attacked by mercenaries," Jerry said coldly. "Forgive me if that took priority over your sensibilities. Those children are not legitimate heirs." Davison slammed his fist on the table. "You broke your betrothal to a noble-born wolf to claim a human and her bastards." Jerry moved so fast that half the council didn't see him until he had Davison pinned against the wall, one hand around the old wolf's throat. "Call them bastards again. I'm begging you." Davison's eyes widened with fear, but he was too proud to back down completely. "The law is clear. Heirs must be born of a recognized union. Then I'll recognize the union." Jerry released him, letting Davison collapse into his chair, gasping. "I'm claiming Zaram as my mate before the full moon. The ceremony will be public, binding, and irrefutable, and the twins will be legitimized as my heirs. The pact will never accept it," one of the other council members protested. "A human queen. My father was human," Queen Mother said from the doorway. Everyone turned. Jerry's mother, Alara, swept into the room with the grace of a woman who'd been born to power. She was in her 60s, but age had only refined her beauty. Her silver hair was bound in an elaborate braid, and she wore the deep blue of the Queen Mother's station. "Mother," Jerry said, bowing his head respectfully. Ilara's gaze raked over him, and he felt like a child again, awaiting judgment. "You look terrible. Is that blood?" "Not mine." "Good. because I didn't raise a fool who'd get himself killed before producing heirs. She turned to the council, her voice sharp. I've heard the complaints, the scandal, the impropriety, and I have one question for all of you. Do these children carry Blackstone blood? Silence. I said, do they carry my grandson's blood? Alara's eyes flashed. Because if they do, then they are legitimate. The law states that any child of the Alpha King is an heir. There is no clause about the mother species. But tradition, Davison began. Tradition said I couldn't mate with a human either. Tradition said my marriage would weaken the pack. And yet, my reign was the longest and most prosperous in Blackstone history. Alara's smile was sharp. Perhaps it's time we questioned which traditions serve us and which simply serve your egos. Jerry fought the urge to smile. His mother was a force of nature when she wanted to be. However, Alara continued, turning to Jerry, you should have consulted me before making such a declaration. Breaking the engagement with Nancy has created a diplomatic incident. Her father is calling for your head. Alpha Cornelius can call for whatever he wants. I won't marry a woman I don't love to appease his pride. Love? Davison spat the word like a curse. A king doesn't have the luxury of love. You have a responsibility to the realm, and I'm fulfilling it. I'm securing the succession with 2 healthy heirs. What more could you want? We want a queen who understands our ways, who was raised among wolves, who can command respect. Another council member stood Lady Breslin, one of the few who'd supported Jerry's rule, but even she looked troubled. Your Majesty, forgive me, but how can a human woman lead our people? She doesn't have the strength, the instincts. She survived 3 years alone, raising twins in a hostile world, while hiding from enemies who would have killed her on sight. Jerry's voice was cold. She's more resilient than half the wolves in this room, and if you doubt her ability to lead, then you clearly don't know the woman I fell in love with. Pretty words, Davison sneered, but love clouds judgment. You're making decisions with your heart instead of your head. Good, maybe that's what this kingdom needs. A little less cold calculation and a little more humanity. Jerry leaned forward, his alpha authority rolling out like a physical force. Here's what's going to happen. In 3 days, there will be a mating ceremony. Zaram will be recognized as my queen. The twins will be presented to the pack as my legitimate heirs. And anyone who objects can challenge me directly. You'd fight your own people? Lady Breslin asked, shocked. I'd fight anyone who threatens my family, including you, including this entire council. Jerry's gaze swept the room. I've played by your rules for 3 years. I've been the dutiful king, making alliances, keeping the peace, listening to your endless debates about tradition. But I'm done. Zaram is mine. Those children are mine. And if you can't accept that, then find yourselves a new king. The chamber erupted in chaos. Half the council shouted objections, while the other half argued amongst themselves. Alara watched it all with an inscrutable expression. Finally, she held up one hand and the room fell silent. Enough. Jerry, leave us. I wish to speak with the council privately. Jerry hesitated. Mother, that wasn't a request. Her tone brooked no argument. Jerry bowed and left Marcus following. Once the doors closed behind them, Marcus let out a low whistle. That went well. You have a strange definition of well. You didn't kill anyone. I count that as a success. Marcus's expression turned serious. But Davison has a point. The pack needs time to adjust. Springing this on them so suddenly, they've had 3 years to adjust to the idea of a queen. Nancy was paraded around court like a prized mare, and everyone accepted her because she was born with the right bloodline. But Zaram? Jerry's hands clenched. She'll have to prove herself 10 times over just to be seen as adequate, and I'm not going to let her face that alone. Then we need a strategy. Pania's good at court politics, let her help Zaram navigate the social aspects. And we need to neutralize Bara before he makes his move. He's been too quiet. That's never a good sign. Jerry agreed. His cousin was many things, but passive wasn't one of them. The attack on the road had Bara's fingerprints all over it, even if there was no concrete proof. Put watchers on him. I want to know everyone he meets with, every letter he sends, every breath he takes. Already done. But Jerry? Marcus's voice dropped. If Bara goes after those kids, you won't be able to handle it quietly. It'll be civil war. Then it'll be war. Jerry's eyes flashed gold. I'm done compromising. Inside the council chamber, Alara waited until Jerry's footsteps faded before turning to the council. Well, that was quite the performance. Your Majesty, Davison began, surely you can see the danger. What I see is a king willing to fight for his mate, something my late husband would have appreciated. Alara's expression softened with memory. When I chose Marcus, Jerry's father, half the pack, threatened to leave. They said a human king consort would be our downfall. But do you know what happened? The realm flourished. Because leadership isn't about species, it's about character. But the law is a tool, Lord Davison, not a leash. Alara's gaze hardened. And if you try to use it to undermine my son, I will remind you that I still have considerable influence in this court. Cross me, and you'll find your position less secure. The threat hung in the air. Davison's face purpled with rage, but he said nothing. Lady Breslin spoke up carefully. Your Majesty, what would you have us do? Support Jerry, help the human woman acclimate, and most importantly, protect those children. They are the future of Blackstone, whether you like it or not. Alara stood, signaling the discussion was over. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have grandchildren to meet. Zaram was helping Maya arrange a collection of dolls when a knock sounded at the door. One of the servants, a young woman named Iris, who'd been assigned as Zaram's lady's maid, answered it and immediately dropped into a deep curtsy. Queen Mother, Iris breathed. Zaram's heart jumped into her throat. She stood quickly, trying to remember the proper protocol. Should she bow, curtsy, prostrate herself on the floor? Alara entered, and Zaram's first thought was that Jerry looked exactly like her. Same strong features, same commanding presence, same eyes that seemed to see through all pretense. Your Majesty, Zaram managed, attempting an awkward curtsy. Stand up, child. You look like a newborn fawn. Alara's gaze swept the room, landing on the twins. Her expression softened immediately. And these are my grandchildren. Maya, never one to be intimidated, walked right up to Alara. Are you the scary grandmother Aunt Pania told us about? Alara's lips twitched. I suppose I am. And what's your name, brave one? Maya. And that's Ethan, but he's shy sometimes. I'm not shy, Ethan protested from behind Zaram's skirts. I'm being cautious. Mama says it's important to be cautious around powerful people. Your mother is wise. Alara knelt in action that looked unnatural for someone so regal, bringing herself to the twins' level. Do you know who I am? Your daddy's mama, Maya said confidently, which makes you our grandmama. Indeed it does. Alara's voice was surprisingly gentle. And do you know what grandmothers do? Both twins shook their heads. They spoil their grandchildren absolutely rotten. So I've brought you both presents. Alara gestured, and a servant entered carrying 2 wrapped packages. Maya squealed and immediately tore into hers, revealing a beautiful wooden rocking horse with a real leather saddle. Ethan approached his gift more cautiously, unwrapping it to find a small sword clearly made for a child, but still sharp enough to be real. A weapon? Zaram asked, alarmed. He's a Blackstone heir. He needs to learn to defend himself. Alara straightened, her gaze meeting Zaram's. Besides, the way Pania tells it, the boy has good instincts. Better to train them early. Ethan held the sword with unexpected familiarity, his stance automatically correcting itself into something that looked almost right. He's never held a sword before, Zaram said, disturbed. Alpha blood remembers. Alara watched Ethan with approval. Generations of warriors live in his veins. The sword is simply waking them up. It was both fascinating and terrifying. Zaram had spent 3 years trying to keep the twins' abilities hidden, suppressed. Now she was watching them bloom in real time, encouraged by people who saw their power as a gift rather than a curse. Children, why don't you play with your new toys in your bedroom? Alara suggested. I'd like to speak with your mother alone. Maya and Ethan exchanged glances, then obediently retreated, though Ethan shot Zaram a worried look over his shoulder. The moment they were gone, the warmth in Alara's expression cooled. Sit, she commanded. Zaram sat. Alara settled across from her, every inch the queen, despite having abdicated years ago. I'm going to be blunt. The council wants you gone. Half the court thinks you're a gold digger. and the other half thinks you're a political disaster. So tell me, why should I support you?" Zoram's throat tightened, but she forced herself to meet Alara's gaze. "Because I love your son, and I'd rather die than see him hurt again. Love." Alara's tone was unreadable. "Jerry's father told me he loved me too. On our third meeting. I thought he was a fool." "Was he?" "No, he was the smartest man I ever met. Smart enough to know that love was the only thing stronger than politics." Alara's expression softened slightly. "I fought my entire pack to make Marcus my consort. I faced death threats, assassination attempts, and a near revolt. But I'd do it all again, because he was worth it." Jerry said his father was human. He was. A scholar with no combat skills, no alpha blood, no understanding of our ways. The council said he'd weaken the throne. They were wrong. Marcus was my greatest strength. He taught me to see beyond pack dynamics, to think like a human with compassion, creativity, and strategic patience. Together, we built something stronger than any pure-blood dynasty could have achieved alone. Zoram felt a flicker of hope. "Then you understand. I understand that being a human queen in a wolf kingdom is the hardest thing you'll ever do. You'll be judged more harshly, held to impossible standards, and blamed for every failure. And your children?" Alara's gaze drifted toward the bedroom. "They'll face prejudice from both sides. Too human for the wolves, too wolf for the humans." "I know," Zoram whispered, "but what choice do I have? Jerry won't let me leave. Would you leave if he did?" The question hung in the air. Zoram realized she didn't have to think about the answer. "No." "Why not?" "Because those children deserve to know their father. And because," Zoram's voice cracked, "because I never stopped loving him. Even when I hated him. Even when I was running. He was always the other half of my soul." Alara studied her for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. "Good. If you'd said you were doing this for the children or for duty, I'd have thrown you out myself. But love?" She reached across and took Zoram's hand. "Love is the only thing worth fighting for." Tears spilled down Zoram's cheeks. "I don't know if I can do this. I don't know how to be a queen." "Neither did I. My mother was a pack warrior, not royalty. I learned as I went, made 1,000 mistakes, and somehow survived." Alara squeezed her hand. "I'll teach you. The protocols, the politics, how to handle the vipers at court. But you have to promise me something." "Anything." "Never let them see you weak. Wolves respect strength above all else. If you cry, do it in private. If you're afraid, hide it. And if someone challenges you, you bare your teeth and remind them who you are." Alara's eyes flashed. "You're the Alpha King's mate. That makes you the most powerful woman in this kingdom, second only to me. Act like it." Zoram nodded, wiping her tears. "I'll try." "Don't try, do." Alara stood, smoothing her gown. "Now, the mating ceremony is in 3 days. We have an enormous amount to prepare. The seamstress will be here within the hour to fit you for your ceremonial gown. Pania will coach you on the ritual itself, and I'll handle the council." "What about Bara?" Zoram asked. "Jerry thinks he's behind the attack." Alara's expression turned cold. "Bara is a serpent. Always has been. He's been poisoning minds against Jerry since the moment he took the throne. But he's careful, never leaves evidence, always has plausible deniability. Will he try to stop the ceremony? He'll try something. The question is what?" Alara moved toward the door, then paused. "Zoram, one more thing. Jerry may be Alpha King, but he's still my son, and I will not tolerate anyone hurting him. If you break his heart again, I won't. See that you don't." But Alara's threat was softened by the ghost of a smile. "Welcome to the family, child. May the gods have mercy on your soul." Prince Bara stood in the shadows of the eastern tower, watching the courtyard below. Jerry's mate had arrived hours ago, and already the palace was in chaos. Servants gossiped, guards whispered, and the council was tearing itself apart. "Perfect. My lord?" His advisor Silas approached quietly. "The mercenaries failed. All 12 are dead. The Alpha King fought like a demon." "I expected as much," Bara said smoothly. He was handsome in a cruel way, sharp features, cold blue eyes, and a smile that never reached those eyes. That wasn't meant to kill him. It was meant to test his defenses and put him on edge. A frightened king makes mistakes. And the children? Should we move on them? Bara considered. The twins were unexpected complications. If Jerry legitimized them, Bara's claim to the throne would be destroyed. But killing children, even rival heirs, came with risks. The pack had honor codes, lines that couldn't be crossed without consequences. Not yet. Let's see how the ceremony plays out. If the pack rejects the human queen, Jerry might reject her too. The problem solves itself. And if the pack accepts her, then we'll have to be more creative. Bara's smile widened. I have friends in the free cities, slavers who specialize in making people disappear. A human woman and 2 half-breed children? They'd fetch a good price in the southern markets. Silas shifted uncomfortably. That's risky, my lord. If it were traced back to you. It won't be. I'm always careful. Bara turned from the window. But we have another advantage. Nancy, the jilted fiancée. She's humiliated, furious, and desperate for revenge. I've already reached out to her, offered my support. You think she'll help us? I think she'll do anything to destroy the woman who stole her throne. Bara's eyes gleamed. And when Jerry's precious mate ends up dead, tragically killed by a jealous rival, who's he gonna blame? Nancy, not me. I'll be the loyal cousin, offering comfort, while secretly maneuvering myself into position as his heir. You're playing a dangerous game. The throne is worth any risk. Bara headed for the door. Come, we have a former fiancée to manipulate. The royal seamstress was a thin, severe woman named Madame Aurine, who looked at Zaram like she was a particularly difficult puzzle to solve. Too thin, she muttered, circling Zaram with a measuring tape. And pale. We'll need rich colors to bring life to your complexion. Burgundy, perhaps, or midnight blue. Zaram stood on a small platform in her undergarments, feeling exposed and ridiculous. Pania sat nearby, offering moral support and occasional commentary. The ceremony gown is traditional white, Pania explained. Symbolizes purity and new beginnings. But you'll also need formal gowns for court appearances, day dresses, riding habits. Riding habits? Zaram interrupted. I don't know how to ride. You'll learn. It's expected of royalty. Pania waved a hand dismissively. Don't worry, I'll teach you. I've been riding since I could walk. Madame Aurine pinned fabric to Zaram's shoulders, her movements quick and practiced. The Queen Mother requested silver embroidery. Wolf motifs, of course. And the train should be at least 6 feet. Anything less would be an insult. A 6-foot train? Zaram tried to imagine walking in such a thing without tripping. Is that really necessary? Tradition, Madame Aurine said firmly, as if that explained everything. The fitting took over an hour. By the end, Zaram's feet ached, her patience was worn thin, and she had been poked by at least a dozen pins. But when Madame Aurine held up the preliminary sketch of the gown, even Zaram had to admit it was breathtaking. It's beautiful, she whispered. It should be. You'll only wear it once. Madame Aurine began packing her supplies. The gown will be ready by tomorrow evening. Don't gain or lose any weight before then, or I'll be very unhappy. After she left, Zaram collapsed onto the sofa. Is everything in the palace this exhausting? Pretty much. Pania poured 2 glasses of wine from a crystal decanter. Welcome to royalty. It's 90% tedious ceremony and 10% actual governance. What about Jerry? What does he do all day? Sits through council meetings, reviews, petitions, settles disputes, manages the military, maintains alliances, and apparently rescues his mate from obscurity. Pania's smile was teasing. My brother has never done anything halfway. When he loves absolutely. When he fights to the death. And when he commits to something, nothing can change his mind. What was he like after I left? Pania's expression sobered, broken. He searched for you for 6 months, tore apart every village, followed every lead, interrogated anyone who might have seen you. When he finally gave up, something in him just shut down. He went through the motions, ruled, fought, made decisions, but there was no joy in him, no life. Mother was so worried, she nearly forced him into exile just to make him feel something. Guilt twisted in Zoram's gut. I didn't know. How could you? You were gone. Pania sipped her wine. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. I'm saying it so you understand what you mean to him. Jerry's not good at expressing emotions. Alpha training beats that out of you, but you're his entire world, Zoram. Don't forget that when things get hard. Before Zoram could respond, a commotion erupted in the hallway. Raised voices, guards shouting, and then the sound of someone screaming in rage. Pania was on her feet instantly. Stay here. Lock the door. What's happening? I don't know. But Pania froze as the door burst open. Nancy stood in the doorway, her beautiful face twisted with hate. Her hair was disheveled, her green gown torn at the shoulder, and her eyes blazed with madness. Behind her, 2 guards struggled to restrain her, but she fought like a wild animal. You! Nancy's voice was a shriek. You stole everything from me. Guards, remove her, Pania commanded. But Nancy was stronger than she looked. She broke free, lunging at Zoram with claws extended. Pania intercepted her, and the 2 women crashed to the floor in a tangle of silk and fury. Zoram stumbled backward, her heart pounding. Nancy was fully shifted partially, at least. Her hands had become claws, her teeth were fangs, and her eyes glowed amber with her wolf. You're nothing, Nancy screamed, grappling with Pania. A human whore who trapped him with bastard children. You'll never be queen. I'll kill you first. More guards poured into the room. It took 4 of them to finally subdue Nancy, binding her with silver chains that burned her skin and forced her wolf back down. Take her to the dungeons, Pania ordered, breathing hard. She had a scratch across her cheek that was already healing. And send for the king. He needs to deal with this. Nancy laughed, a sound devoid of sanity. You think you've won? You think marrying him will keep you safe? You're marked now, human. Every enemy Jerry has will come for you. And when you're dead, I'll raise those children as my own. After I've eliminated the alpha blood in them, of course. The threat sent ice through Zoram's veins. You're insane. I'm practical. Half-breed heirs weaken the line. Better to start fresh. Nancy smiled, blood on her teeth. Bara understands. He'll make sure those abominations never see their 4th birthday. Bara? Pania's eyes narrowed. What does my cousin have to do with this? But Nancy just laughed as the guards dragged her away, her voice echoing through the halls. You're all dead. Every last one of you. Silence fell. Zoram realized she was shaking, her breath coming in short gasps. Pania crossed to her immediately, gripping her shoulders. Breathe. You're safe. She can't hurt you now. She mentioned Bara. Zoram managed. She said he understands. Pania, what if they're working together? Then we have bigger problems than I thought. Pania's expression was grim. Jerry needs to know about this immediately. Jerry arrived within minutes, Marcus and a full security detail at his heels. His eyes swept the room, cataloging the overturned furniture, the scratch on Pania's face, and Zoram's pale, shaken expression. What happened? His voice was deadly calm. Pania explained quickly Nancy's attack, her threats, and most importantly, her mention of Bara. With each word, Jerry's expression grew darker, his wolf rising close to the surface. Where is she? He asked when Pania finished. The dungeons. I want to speak with her. Now. Jerry started for the door, but Zoram caught his arm. Jerry, wait. She said Bara would make sure the twins never see their 4th birthday. What if it wasn't an empty threat? What if they're actually planning something? Jerry's hands clenched into fists. Then I'll kill them both. You can't just kill Bara, Marcus interjected. He's your cousin, 3rd in line for the throne. Killing him without proof would fracture the pack. I don't need proof. I need my children safe. Then we get proof, Pania said firmly. Nancy's unstable. She might confess everything if interrogated properly. Let me talk to her first. She'll be more open with another woman. Jerry looked like he wanted to argue, but finally nodded. Fine, but I want guards on Zoram and the twins at all times. No one gets within 10 feet of them without being vetted by Marcus personally. Already arranging it, Marcus said, gesturing to the guards. I'll assign our best to shadow duty. Jerry crossed to Zoram, his hands gentle as they cupped her face. "Are you hurt?" "No," Pania stopped her. Zaram's eyes stung with tears she refused to shed. "Jerry, I'm scared. For the twins. For you. For..." "I know." He pulled her into his arms and Zaram let herself collapse against his chest. "I know, and I'm sorry. I thought bringing you here would keep you safe, but I've just made you a target. It's not your fault." "It is. Every choice I've made has led to this." Jerry's voice was rough. "But I swear on my life, Zaram, I will protect you. All of you. Whatever it takes." Zaram believed him. But belief didn't stop the fear. Later that night, after the twins were asleep and extra guards were posted outside the door, Zaram lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come. Every shadow seemed threatening. Every creak of the old palace made her jump. A soft knock made her bolt upright. "Who is it?" "It's me." Jerry's voice. Zaram opened the door to find him standing there, still in his formal attire, looking exhausted. "I thought you were dealing with Nancy. Pania's handling it. I needed to." He trailed off, his gaze dropping. "I needed to make sure you were really okay." "I'm fine, just can't sleep." "Neither can I." Jerry hesitated, then asked quietly, "Can I stay? Just for tonight. I don't want you to be alone." Zaram should have said no. They weren't mated yet, not officially, and there were protocols about propriety that she was surely violating. But she was tired of being strong, tired of pretending she didn't need him. "Yes," she whispered. Jerry entered, closing the door softly behind him. He removed his jacket and boots, then settled into the chair by the window like he was planning to keep watch all night. "Jerry, you can't sleep in a chair. I've slept in worse places. The bed is enormous. We can share it like civilized people." When he still hesitated, Zaram added, "Please, I don't want to be alone." That broke his resolve. Jerry crossed to the bed, sliding under the covers beside her. He kept a respectful distance at first, but Zaram immediately closed the gap, curling against his chest. "This is better," she murmured. Jerry's arms came around her, holding her close. "I've missed this, missed you. Every night for 3 years, I'd wake up reaching for you, and you were never there. I'm here now. Are you..." Jerry's voice was pained. "Or are you just here because I forced you, because you're trapped?" Zaram pulled back enough to meet his eyes. "Jerry, I came back because I choose to be here. Not for the palace, not for the title, not even for the children's sake. I came back because living without you was like living without half my soul. I was never whole again after I left." "Then, why did you leave in the first place?" The question came out raw, desperate. "If you loved me, why did you run?" "Because I heard you tell your council that I was a liability, that the realm needed a strong queen, and I could never be that." Zaram's own voice broke. "And I believed you, Jerry. I believed that I was holding you back, that you'd be better off without me. So I left. I thought I was setting you free." "Free?" Jerry's laugh was bitter. "You destroyed me, Zaram. You took my heart with you when you left, and I've been a shell of a man ever since. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Tears streamed down Zaram's face. "I should have trusted you, should have given you a chance to explain, but I was so afraid. I should have fought for you harder, should have told the council to go to hell and claimed you publicly from the start." Jerry wiped her tears with his thumbs. "We both made mistakes, but we have a chance to fix them now, to build something stronger than what we had before. Do you really think we can?" "I know we can, because I refuse to lose you again." Jerry pressed his forehead to hers. "Marry me, Zaram, not because of duty or politics or the twins. Marry me because we're meant to be together. Because you're my mate, my queen, my everything." "I already said yes," Zaram whispered. "Say it again. I need to hear it." "Yes. 1,000 times yes." Zaram kissed him then, soft and sweet, and full of all the promises they'd never gotten to make 3 years ago. When they finally pulled apart, Jerry's eyes glowed gold. "The ceremony is in 2 days. 2 days, and then you're mine forever. No more running, no more fear, no more separation." "No more," Zaram agreed. She settled back against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "Jerry, What did Pena learn from Nancy? Jerry's expression darkened. Nancy confirmed that Bara approached her. He offered to help her remove the obstacles, preventing her from being queen. She claimed she didn't agree to anything specific, but she also didn't report his treason. That's enough to arrest her for conspiracy. And Bara? That's where it gets complicated. Nancy's confession isn't enough to move against him directly. She could be lying, trying to take him down with her. I need concrete proof of his involvement. So what do? We proceed with the ceremony as planned. Let Bara think he has time to plot. Meanwhile, Marcus is investigating Nancy's contacts, following her paper trail. If there's a connection to Bara, we'll find it. Jerry's arms tightened around her. But until then, you and the twins don't leave the palace grounds. And you're never without guards. Is this what our life will be like? Always looking over our shoulders? Only until I've eliminated the threats. Then, I promise, we'll have peace. Jerry pressed a kiss to her hair. Now sleep. You'll need your strength for the days ahead. Zaram closed her eyes, finally feeling safe enough to rest. In Jerry's arms, with his steady breathing lulling her toward sleep, she could almost believe that everything would be okay. Almost. The day of the mating ceremony dawned clear and cold. Zaram woke to find Jerry already gone. Tradition dictated that mates spend the day before the ceremony apart, and a team of servants bustling into her room. The Queen Mother sends her greetings, Iris announced, directing the organized chaos. She's arranged for you to be bathed, dressed, and prepared for the ceremony. We have exactly 6 hours. 6 hours to transform a seamstress into a queen. The bath came first, rose-scented water in a tub large enough to swim in. Then came the ordeal of her hair, which was washed, dried, braided, and arranged in an elaborate style that required at least 20 pins to secure. Makeup was applied with an artist's precision, just enough to enhance her features without looking painted. Finally, the gown. Madame Aurine and 2 assistants helped Zaram into the dress, lacing the back with practiced efficiency. When they were done, Zaram barely recognized herself in the mirror. The gown was white silk, form-fitting through the bodice before flaring into a full skirt. Silver embroidery covered every inch, wolves running through forests, moons in various phases, and the blackstone crest over her heart. The train was indeed 6 feet long, and it shimmered with each movement. "You look like a queen," Pania said from the doorway. She wore a formal gown of deep purple, her hair arranged in a crown of braids. "Jerry's going to lose his mind when he sees you." "I feel like an imposter," Zaram admitted. "That's normal. I felt the same way at my first formal event." Pania crossed to her, adjusting the necklace that had been placed around Zaram's neck, a wolf pendant made of silver and diamonds. "But you're not an imposter. You're exactly where you're supposed to be." A knock interrupted them. Alara entered, looking regal in midnight blue. Her expression was unreadable as she studied Zaram. "Well," she said finally, "you'll do." Coming from Alara, that was high praise. "The ceremony begins at sunset," Alara continued. "The entire pack will be in attendance, along with representatives from the other territories. Lord Davison will officiate. I have made sure he understands that any deviation from protocol will result in his immediate removal from the council." "Will there be challenges?" Zaram asked nervously. Pack law allowed anyone to challenge a mating if they believed it weakened the alpha line. "Possibly, but Jerry will handle them." Alara's smile was sharp. He's looking forward to it, actually. Nothing satisfies an alpha quite like defending his mate in combat. Zaram's stomach churned. She'd known this was a possibility, but hearing it stated so matter-of-factly made it real. Jerry might have to fight today, might be injured, or worse. "Don't spiral," Pania said gently, reading her expression. "My brother is the strongest alpha in 3 generations. No one's stupid enough to actually challenge him." But someone was. As it turned out, several someones. The ceremony was held in the Great Hall, which had been transformed for the occasion. Hundreds of candles cast flickering light over the assembled pack members. The crowd was a sea of formal attire and barely concealed hostility. Zaram entered through the main doors, Alara on one side and Pania on the other, feeling like she was walking to her execution. Every eye tracked her progress down the aisle. She heard the whispers, "So young, too human, she'll never survive," but forced herself to keep her head high, Jerry stood at the far end of the hall, and the sight of him stole Zaram's breath. He wore formal black with silver embroidery matching hers, his dark hair brushed back, his gray eyes locked on her like she was the only person in the room. When she reached him, he took her hand, and the contact steadied her racing heart. "You're beautiful," he whispered. "You're not so bad yourself." Lord Davison stepped forward, his expression sour but his voice professionally neutral. "We are gathered to witness the mating bond between Alpha King Jerry of Blackstone and Zaram, human-born. This bond, once sealed, cannot be broken except by death. Are there any who would challenge this union?" Silence stretched. Zaram dared to hope. "I challenge." The voice came from the back of the hall. The crowd parted, revealing a young wolf with copper hair and angry eyes. Zaram recognized him from the council, one of Davison's nephews. "State your name and grounds," Davison intoned. "I am Stefan of House Davison. I challenge on the grounds that this human weakens the Alpha bloodline and dishonors our traditions." Jerry's expression didn't change, but Zaram felt his hand tighten on hers. "Your challenge is noted. Do you wish to settle this through combat or concession?" "Combat." Stefan's smile was vicious. "First blood. If I win, you reject the human and choose a proper mate. And when I win, you swear absolute loyalty to my queen and leave the council forever." Jerry released Zaram's hand, handing her off to Pania. "Clear the center floor." The crowd moved back, forming a circle. Stefan stripped off his shirt, and Zaram saw he was heavily muscled, scarred from previous fights. He was younger than Jerry, faster maybe, and he had the confidence of someone who'd never lost. Jerry removed his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, his movements unhurried. "Last chance to withdraw." "I don't withdraw." Stefan shifted, his form blurring as the wolf took over. In seconds, a massive copper wolf stood where the man had been, teeth bared and hackles raised. Jerry didn't shift. He faced the wolf in human form, and Zaram's heart climbed into her throat. What was he doing? Fighting a shifted wolf while human was suicide. Stefan attacked. He was fast, covering the distance in a single leap, jaws aimed for Jerry's throat. Jerry moved faster. He sidestepped the attack with inhuman grace, his hands shooting out to grab Stefan's fur. Using the wolf's own momentum against him, Jerry slammed Stefan into the floor so hard the stones cracked. Stefan yelped, scrambling to his feet. He attacked again, more cautiously this time, circling and looking for an opening. Jerry let him come. He dodged teeth and claws with minimal movement, each motion precise and economical. He wasn't fighting angry. He was fighting bored. "Is that all?" Jerry's voice was calm. "I expected better from House Davison." The taunt worked. Stefan lost his temper, lunging wildly. Jerry caught him mid-air, one hand on the wolf's throat, and for a moment they hung suspended man and beast, strength against strength. Then Jerry's eyes flashed gold, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with power. His alpha dominance rolled out like a physical force, and Stefan whimpered, his wolf submitting involuntarily. "Yield," Jerry commanded, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of alpha authority. Stefan had no choice. His wolf flattened to the ground, belly exposed, throat bared in absolute surrender. When he shifted back to human form, blood trickled from his nose, first blood. Jerry had won. "Do you swear loyalty?" Jerry asked, not releasing his grip. I swear," Stefan gasped. "To my queen?" "To your queen." Jerry released him. Stefan collapsed, gasping, as healers rushed forward. Jerry barely looked winded. He rolled his sleeves back down, retrieved his jacket, and returned to Zaram's side like nothing had happened. "Anyone else?" he asked the crowd pleasantly. 2 more wolves stepped forward. Jerry defeated them both. One he beat unconscious in under 30 seconds, the other he forced to yield through sheer dominance without ever throwing a punch. By the time the 3rd challenger was carried away, the message was clear. Jerry would destroy anyone who stood between him and his mate. "Are there any further challenges?" Davison asked, his voice slightly hoarse. Silence. Even Davison's most loyal supporters looked away, unwilling to meet Jerry's eyes. "Then we proceed." Davison gestured them forward. "Join hands." Zaram and Jerry clasped hands, and Davison began the ancient ritual words. Zaram barely heard them. Her heart was too full, her emotions too raw. She looked at Jerry and saw her entire future challenges in danger, yes, but also love, partnership, and a family finally whole. Do you, Jerry, Alpha King of Blackstone, accept this woman as your mate, your queen, your equal before the pack and the gods? I do, Jerry said firmly. Do you, Zaram, human-born, accept this man as your mate, your king, your equal before the pack and the gods? I do, Zaram whispered. Then by the power vested in me by pack law and ancient tradition, I declare you bonded. May your union be blessed with strength, prosperity, and many heirs. Davison stepped back. You may seal the bond. Jerry pulled Zaram into his arms and kissed her. Not the gentle kiss of earlier, but a claiming kiss. Fierce and possessive and full of promise. The bond snapped into place. Zaram felt it like a golden thread connecting them, binding them together on a level deeper than flesh. When they broke apart, Jerry's eyes glowed gold, and Zaram realized with shock that hers probably glowed too. The bond was giving her access to his power, strengthening her, changing her on a fundamental level. My queen, Jerry murmured against her lips. My king, Zaram replied. The crowd erupted in cheers, some genuine, some forced, but it didn't matter. They were mated now, bonded. Nothing could separate them, except death.